Every race weekend, we always get excited for qualifying and the race. But where is the love for the humble practice session? In a normal race weekend, we get 3 hours worth of practice sessions. That's more than we get in the race, and qualifying's only like an hour long. That's a third of the practice sessions. And when you're pretending to do work on a Friday afternoon, a practice session is a fantastic companion. So today I will show some love to the practice session and give out some points and decide who is the practice session world champion of 2024. So the same points that the drivers will get in the race, we're going to give to them in the practice sessions, starting with Bahrain. We're not going to give out a point for fastest lap, it's just the normal 25 points for a win and so on. So, in Bahrain, Daniel Ricciardo topped the first practice session, Lewis Hamilton was on top for FP2, and then Carlos Sainz was fastest in FP3. But, coming out of Bahrain, none of them lead the practice session world championship. It's actually Fernando Alonso on 43 points after a 5th, a 3rd and a 2nd across the weekend. Going into Saudi Arabia, and Max Verstappen wakes up, topping the 1st and 3rd practice sessions, but Alonso stays in the mix, topping the 2nd one. Pierre Gasly scores his first practice points with a 9th in FP2, and Ollie Behrman fills in for Carlos Sainz in FP3 and scores 1 point. At the end of the weekend, Verstappen takes the championship lead from Alonso by 2 points. In Australia, Lando Norris tops a practice session for the first time this year, but it is Charles Leclerc who rules the weekend, with 4th in FP1 and fastest in FP2 and FP3, and jumps up to 2nd in the Practice Session World Championship, whilst Max Verstappen is 2nd in every session and extends his lead to 30 points. To Japan now, and rain during FP2 sees only 5 drivers set times. Oscar Piastri tops that session, with Hamilton 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, Tsunoda 4th, and Daniel Ricciardo in 5th. Ricciardo getting his first practice points since being fastest in FP1 in Bahrain. Max Verstappen dominates the rest of the weekend and is fastest in FP1 and FP3. George Russell is up to 3rd, and Lando Norris falls from 6th to 8th, being passed by Perez and Hamilton. We go to China now, and we have the first arrival of the true enemy of the practice session, the sprint race weekend. So we are down to 1 session only this weekend, and it's topped by Lance Stroll. We also get the first practice points for Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen. Sergio Perez jumps up to 5th, whilst Lando Norris continues to fall down the order, going to 9th, whilst Piastri jumps from 9th to 7th. Another sprint in Miami, and Lando Norris goes fastest, and Esteban Ocon is 10th, making it back-to-back practice points. Norris and Piastri swap positions, with Piastri now being 9th and Norris being 7th. We are back to normal in Imola, where Leclerc tops the first 2 sessions and Piastri is fastest in FP3. After a strong start to the season, Fernando Alonso falls down to 7th, now 125 points behind Max Verstappen, while Charles Leclerc is 2nd and cuts Verstappen's lead from 74 points to 36. We go to Monaco, and it's a strong weekend for Leclerc, who is fastest in FP2 and FP3, whilst Lewis Hamilton was fastest in FP1. Hamilton jumps to 4th, while Sergio Perez falls from 6th to 9th, and Leclerc cuts Verstappen's lead down to just 6 points. In Canada, Norris tops the first session, Alonso is fastest in FP2, and Hamilton is fastest in FP3. Both Verstappen and Leclerc get 28 points across the 3 sessions, so the gap at the top remains 6 points. Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso are both now on 185 points to share 7th, and Valtteri Bottas gets his first practice points since Bahrain. In Spain, Norris tops FP1 again, with Hamilton fastest in FP2 and Sainz fastest in FP3. Max Verstappen extends his lead to 23 points, whilst Piastri drops from 5th to 7th, being passed by Sainz and Norris. Gasly goes from 17th to 14th after finishing 4th in FP2. We have another sprint race weekend in Austria, so we have 1 practice session again, which is topped by Max Verstappen, who extends his lead to 33 points, whilst Lewis Hamilton passes George Russell and enters the top 3. Lando Norris is 6th and now trails the championship leader by 137 points. In Silverstone, Lando Norris is fastest in FP1 and FP2, and goes into the top 3, 100 points behind Verstappen, whilst Russell tops FP3 and goes 4th. Nico Hülkenberg picks up his first points since Imola with 4th in FP2 and 10th in FP3. Sainz is fastest in FP1 in Hungary, with Lando Norris topping FP2 and FP3. Sainz is now in the top 5, and Zhou Guanyu gets his first points with a 5th in FP1, leaving Logan Sargent as the only driver yet to score points in the Practice Championship. Verstappen is fastest in FP1 and FP3 in Belgium and extends his lead to 111 points, whilst Norris is fastest in FP2 and now just 5 points behind Leclerc for second. Bottas gets his first practice points in Spain, and Piastri is back into the top 5. Norris is fastest in FP1 and Russell is fastest in FP2 in the Netherlands, but it's all eyes on FP3, where Pierre Gasly is the fastest, with Magnussen second and Bottas third. Norris is now second and 96 points behind Verstappen, and Gasly's first place moves him up to 13th in the championship. Verstappen tops FP1 in Italy, with Hamilton fastest in FP2 and FP3. Franco Colapinto replaces Logan Sargent and goes 10th in FP3 to get 1 point and go ahead of Sargent in the championship. Another decent points haul for Bottas, who is 5th in FP1, Hamilton passes Sainz for 6th, and Verstappen's lead is cut down to 86 points. Verstappen is fastest in FP1 in Baku, with Leclerc topping FP2 and Russell fastest in FP3. Ollie Behrman fills in for the suspended Kevin Magnussen and scores 1 point, and Colapinto picks up another 2 points. Verstappen extends his lead to 102 points. In Singapore, Leclerc is fastest in FP1 and Norris is top of FP2 and FP3 and cuts Verstappen's lead down to 58 points, whilst Hamilton and Sainz swap positions yet again. Another sprint race now in the USA Grand Prix, where there is one practice session topped by Carlos Sainz, who moves into the top 5, while Verstappen's lead is slightly extended to 61 points. George Russell is the fastest in the first Mexican practice, Carlos Sainz tops FP2, and Oscar Piastri is fastest in the final practice session. Sainz moves up to 4th and Piastri up to 5th, whilst Liam Lawson gets his first points after replacing Daniel Ricciardo at the USA Grand Prix, as he finished 9th in FP1 and 10th in FP2 and 3, and his teammate Yuki Tsunoda picks up some good points with 3rd in FP1 and FP2 and 7th in FP3. Another sprint in Brazil, which sees the one practice session topped by Lando Norris, whilst Max Verstappen is 15th and does not score any points, and Lando Norris is now 32 points behind. Ollie Behrman fills in for a sick Kevin Magnussen and finishes 3rd and goes up to 19th in the championship. It's all Mercedes in Las Vegas, as Hamilton is fastest in FP1 and FP2, whilst Russell is fastest in FP3. Russell moves up to 4th, whilst the top 2 are now separated by 7 points, and Albon moves up to 12th. One final sprint race of the year sees Charles Leclerc top the session, while Verstappen is 11th and doesn't score any points, and Norris is 2nd and takes the championship lead with 1 race to go. Lance Stroll scores his first points since Baku, and Bottas picks up 8 points, while Russell and Sainz go into the final race on equal points, sharing 4th place. In the final race in Abu Dhabi, Charles Leclerc tops FP1, Norris is fastest in FP2, and Piastri is the fastest in FP3. But overall, Lando Norris takes the championship by a massive 60 points ahead of Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri jumps Sainz and Russell to take 4th, Hülkenberg goes from 15th to 12th, Bottas claims 17th, Colapinto is 20th, and Felipe Drugovich finishes 9th in FP1 as part of the rookie driver test session, so scores 2 points and finishes 23rd, pushing Logan Sargent down to 24th. So there we go, Lando Norris may have missed out on the championship this year, but he is officially the practice session world champion of 2024, and I think we all know which is the most important of the two.